All right, I think we're live. Sorry guys if the quality is horrible. I almost never do live streams. Um, I don't think we have anybody in the chat right now, but anyway, I'm just not a big enough channel. I always see like Jeremy doing live streams now, and he always has like a ton of viewers, but I just don't get any. We'll be lucky if we get like five. But anyway, I want to give you guys a quick little update on 2U stock because let me just see if I can see the comments. Oh, okay, it looks like some people are coming in. All right, what's up, everybody? Um, someone says that they were waiting for this. Okay, so when looking at 2U stock, um, so as you guys know, if you've seen one of my previous videos from, I think just like a couple weeks ago, 2U is a spec stock that is in my portfolio. So I made a video about my portfolio. I've made other videos talking about 2U in the past, but if you saw my video about my portfolio, 2U is a online education company, and their stock, I believe their ticker symbol is like TWOU, and it's a spec stock. So for me, it's less than 1% of my portfolio. Because I allocate about 10% of my portfolio to spec stocks, but right now the majority of that is taken up by Tesla and Neo, and even then, those don't even get close to the 10%. Uh, but anyway, like it's just a very small portion of my portfolio that goes to spec stocks, and uh, and when looking at 2U is less than 1% of my portfolio, less than 1%. So it's like a tiny, tiny, tiny position of my overall portfolio. But I've been getting a lot of comments. I've been getting bombarded with comments like pretty much today about 2U because the stock crashed by over 65 I think it was like 65% today that it crashed, which is huge. So it crashed by an enormous amount, and so a lot of people are saying like, "Oh man, you must be devastated," or "Man, like your portfolio must be like in so much trouble." But it's less like I'm just, and I'm not saying this to kind of like be defensive, but I'm just to kind of clarify, it's less than 1% of my portfolio. So like my portfolio doesn't even like move as a result of 2U. I believe Microsoft went down like 3% today, and Microsoft is my biggest stock, and that moves my portfolio at just 3%. In terms of the stock moving, just dropping 3%, that really moves my portfolio. But 2U can literally go bankrupt, and it would only affect my portfolio by less than 1%. So it's like nothing. But anyway, when looking at 2U, they just had their earnings. Let me just see if there's a couple comments here that I can respond to really quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. But let's see. Sorry if I'm putting my finger in the way, guys. I have to scroll through the comments. Uh, okay, so everybody's just kind of saying like, "Oh, should I buy 2U? And is this a good time to buy it?" Let's see. Hey, Jeremy? Y'all should team up and do a live chat together, and make that money. I do know Jeremy. He's really cool. We hung out a couple times, and yeah, he's a super nice guy. Somebody said I'm down 80% on 2U. Do I sell it or hold? Well, first of all, I don't give anybody advice. Like I don't. Let's be clear about something. I don't tell anybody to buy or sell anything when it comes to stocks, but I always share my opinion, and I tell you guys if I'm buying a stock or selling it. For me, I'm not selling out of 2U because it crashed by 65%. It's less than 1% of my portfolio. It's a speculative long-term play on the online education kind of market. So there's just not really a whole lot of reason for me to sell it. I'll probably add some more to my 2U position, but I don't plan on selling it anytime soon. So let me just give you let me just clarify what happened. So they did their earnings, and the stock crashed by like about 65% as a result of the earnings. And the company, they actually grew their revenues, I think, by like 40% in the quarter. So it was a lot of growth still, which is the reason why I was invested into you, because they had really high sales growth, but they were not profitable at all. So it's highly speculative. And I actually got a comment from someone that said that it was like a third of their portfolio, and I'm just like, man, I don't understand how people can invest so much in a company that is so speculative, or in a stock that is so speculative. Oh, I got a couple super chats. These are the first super chats I've ever gotten in my life. Okay, so Todd Mullis donated $2. So thank you, Todd. He says, Is 2U finished or worth buying? So, like I said, for me, I'll probably add a little bit to it, but it's never going to become a bigger position than like 1 or 2% of my portfolio. And I think at like 1%, I'm comfortable because this is a stock that is just performing so incredibly bad, and we just have to see where it goes. But in my opinion, it's overblown. I mean, dropping by 65%, and we'll talk a little bit about the earnings, but I think it's overblown. But we'll talk about it in a second. Dylan, $2 donation. Thank you, Dylan. I always see your comments, by the way. Super nice person. Says, here's to your first super chat, fam. Thanks, Dylan. Really appreciate that. Okay, and then there's another super chat, $2. Scalp Houston, Scalp Clinic and Training. If you guys need any scalp work done, make sure you check them out. They're highly recommend them. They say this is to help you out with your losses today. Dang, that hurts. That hurts. I just recommended you, and then you talk about my losses. Uh, Raj Rajerwar something. Oh, sorry, man, I can't pronounce the name. I'm sorry, but that's a cool name. Rajawar Rao donated $1. Thank you. I'll just say Raj. Thank you, Raj. Really appreciate that. Raj is a really cool name, by the way. Okay, so give me a shout out, bro. Informed trades, day trading, investing. There's your shout out. So they grew their sales by like 40% for the quarter, but their losses, I think their losses increased by like 150% or something. So their losses just continue to skyrocket. And so again, this is a very speculative company, huge losses, but high revenue growth, high sales growth, and they consistently put up sales growth of like 40%. I mean, this is a high flying growth stock, but it's a company that just continues to lose profits. So in the earnings call, the CEO basically said, "Hey, well, we kind of need to we kind of need to shift our focus away from being such a high sales growth company to making profits. So we need to focus more on actually making profits." And my girlfriend's actually calling me right now. I hope it doesn't interrupt the live chat, but um, and I'm just gonna ignore it for right now. And she should be watching my live chat. That's really messed up that she's not supporting me. But so anyway, the CEO said that they should shift away uh, from high sales growth to being profitable because they've never been profitable. So they really want to focus on that. So one of the things that he mentioned was free cash flow. Like they really need to focus on getting positive free cash flow. And Wall Street just hated it. Wall Street hated that idea because they're going to scale back the amount of programs that they launch. So this is again an online education company, and they launch these like graduate programs, and they're scaling back because I guess it's just going to help them focus more on profitability. It was kind of a mess because during the conference call, I don't know if any of you guys listened to it, but I listened to all the conference calls of all the companies that I own. And during the conference call, analysts were saying, "Well, why? Like, why are you scaling back? Like everybody was kind of unsure of what's going on." And the CEO didn't really give a lot of clarity. And I'm not trying to knock the CEO because I'm sure he was in a very tough position where he had to kind of convince Wall Street that sales growth is not the most important thing. When you continue to lose money, you have to eventually, at some point, become profitable. And this is a company that has been losing money for like years. Still a relatively new company, but they've still been losing a lot of money. So he kind of tried to convince Wall Street on that. So it's a very difficult thing to do. So he gave clarity in some areas. He talked a little bit about how the market is getting more competitive, and the market has been a little weaker too. And because they're like the biggest player in the space, they feel it first and they feel it the most. So those were a couple of things that he was talking about. But Wall Street just did not like that. They didn't like any of that, and so they didn't really like their guidance. They didn't like the fact that they're kind of saying that they're going to move away from high sales growth, which is what has really kept this stock up. Like if it wasn't for the high sales growth, this is a company that nobody would really be investing in. I mean, let's be honest. So for those reasons, Wall Street hated it, and the analysts on the call, they all sounded confused. And so when you have a situation where you're giving bad news and your CEO sounds like kind of flustered and the analysts sound confused on the conference call, that's a horrible situation, and that just triggers a mass sell-off. But selling out 65% crash, that sounds insane to me. I mean, that's just such a huge crash for the stock. Uh, I guess it's warranted in some ways. I feel like it should have gone down, but because it was still weaker guidance and there was still issues and they didn't do a good job of handling the questions on the conference call. But 65% I just feel is overdone. Um, so I did actually buy a little bit more already, and then I might buy a little more if it continues to crash. But again, I really don't want this to be more than like a 1% of my portfolio because I already got like I got so much heat today, and this is a stock that is less than 1% of my portfolio, and I already got so much heat for it. I really don't want this to be a bigger position where the stock continues to crash and people just continue to leave their kind of angry comments and stuff. But anyway, but not everybody was leaving. A lot of people were actually very reasonable, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, I'm happy that you only have 1% of your portfolio in this. Like a lot of people actually watch my videos and they understand that it's a spec stock that is only 1% of my portfolio, so they understood all that stuff. So anyway, and then let me just add one more thing. I'll take a look at the comments right now, guys, and see if I can respond to a couple of them. But one last thing I'll mention, I do plan on making a video about it because obviously this is like I'm not giving you much information here, but I do plan on making a video about 2U. I actually want to make a video about a few stocks that are down a lot, and so I'm hoping to release that video maybe Friday or Saturday, and 2U will absolutely be included because they dropped by 65% like in a single day. That is unbelievable. But anyway, let's see here. See if I can just kind of respond to a couple comments. But should I buy or wait for it a little longer? Tough choice. That is a tough choice because when a stock is crashing like this, um, sometimes it can be good to just kind of wait for it to stabilize a little, because think about how many people probably saw the stock crashing like 30% and they were like, man, this is overblown, and then it drops another 30%. Like that's crazy. But man, at this point it drops by like 65%. I just don't know how much lower it can go. I mean, this is like pretty crazy to me. But and for a company that grew their sales by 40% in the quarter, I mean, dang, for it to drop 65%, and I think they beat on revenue, but they definitely missed on their earnings because their earnings were a lot worse than they expected. So that's another issue. Let's see. Yeah, I bought one share. Dylan says he bought one share at 12.20. That's so cheap, guys. I remember when I made the video saying that I was gonna buy 2U. Um, it was at like $40 or something. It's insane. The stock crashed by so much. Let's see. Facts. I might go in a little. This other person, Raj says, is 2U being bought by some big company? Shoot, I mean, at this point, I don't know. It's like it almost should I feel like Apple should just buy them. Just go into online education, um, sell all the students like a couple of MacBooks or something. Let's see. Any other comments? Any chance it goes bankrupt? Well, it's not. The company, I think, is going to be fine. The company is actually focusing more on profitability, which I think is good. But I just don't think. I don't know. I just don't think Wall Street liked it because I think that the only thing that was keeping the company up was the high sales growth, and you kind of you take that away a little bit, and then what are you left with? The company is still not profitable, and they're probably still a good ways away from really being like if you're talking about gap net income, this could be like another year or 2 years until they're gap net income positive. I mean, who knows? But it's gonna take a while. What about Trilogy Education acquisition? They just closed a huge acquisition that gives them more presence in education for like companies like enterprise, so they can go and train like the workforce, so that's actually a huge move. I could see that being a huge deal in the future because now they're doing online education for huge universities. They're partnered with like Harvard, University of North Carolina, USC, I think UCLA, like the big Yale, like the biggest universities. And now, thanks to a couple of acquisitions, a couple of moves that they made, they're also getting their foot in the door with training like workforces. So they can go to companies and say, hey, you have like a program. We can set up a program to teach your workforce and get them trained. And we can do it all kind of online and through programs. And there's all kinds of ways that they can do it. But anyway, I think that market will be huge in the future. I think that's a big market. And I also think that online education is just a huge market in general. I really see us moving more to online education than just traditional. Let's see, shareholders. By the way, sorry guys for I keep putting my finger in the view of the camera. It's because I have to scroll through the comments. I apologize about that. Let's see. Rock says it seems. Oh, shout out to Rock, by the way, nice guy. Seems they have more cash than debts. Is that right? I think so. The last time I checked their balance sheet, it was actually really good. So I'd have to take another look at it. But their balance sheet, I remember, was pretty good. That was one of the reasons why I took a risk on it because it was a spec stock. But I said, okay, it's a spec stock that is not profitable, but they're growing sales by huge amounts, and they have a nice balance sheet. And I think the market is getting bigger, and they're in the right part of the market because online education is so much more valuable to me than just traditional. So for those reasons, I kind of decided to take the plunge, but it ended up being a horrible decision because the stock crashed by 65% today. Let's see. Uh, Looking now, a lot more equity than debt on their balance sheet. Yeah, they from what I remember, they have really good. It's been a little while since I looked at their balance sheet, but from what I remember, it was pretty solid. I think okay. Jean says, by the way, that's a really cool name. I like that name. I think it's mostly CEO's fault at this point. When you have bad news, you have to be at your best. No excuse. Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I don't want to be harsh on the CEO, and I don't think the CEO is watching my video, but because I'm not nearly any kind of like big enough at all. Um, but I just I don't know. Like I can feel for those people sometimes because I can imagine that if I was in their position it wouldn't be easy. But yeah, like when I was listening to the conference call, it definitely sounded like he was kind of flustered and he kind of didn't know how to answer some of the questions and he also he said, well, we're going to talk a little bit more about this on Investors Day. So he kind of pushed some of the answers out into the future, and I think Wall Street hates that. Anytime you have bad news, you got to be ready to give them all the answers that the analysts want. And if you don't give them those answers, because what happens when you don't give the analysts the answers to their questions, and you say, well, we'll talk about this a little bit at a later date or something like that, the analysts, their reaction is always the same. They're always like, oh, uh, okay, like they have that kind of moment where they like don't know how to respond because they feel like it's a very rational kind of reasonable question, and if you can't answer it, they they get very confused and they don't know what to do. And then Wall Street investors who are watching this, they take it as a huge negative as well. They're like, well, why aren't they just answering the question? And they see it as a huge negative, and then the stock just sells off. So you can't. That's a huge deal. You have to be able to answer those questions quickly. You got to be ready for them. I don't. But let's be honest, guys. I don't think 2U was expecting a 65% drop in their stock. I mean, I can only imagine. Do you guys think that those, like the management, the board, and everything, do you think that they're watching the stock as they're doing the conference call? Because I can only imagine if they're like watching the stock and they're like, oh my God, I gotta like start giving some better answers because this stock is just getting destroyed. Somebody even, an analyst even asked them, one of the analysts, he said, are you guys thinking about making any board changes? And I was like, damn, you're kind of like indirectly saying like, should we change the CEO? Because like the CEO was getting kind of flustered. He wasn't answering the questions that they wanted answered, and the analyst is like, well, are you guys thinking about making any changes and stuff? And I don't know. I kind of took it as he was kind of suggesting like, is anybody gonna get fired and stuff? And the CEO, he just didn't really want to answer that question. He was like, well, you know, we're always kind of monitoring everything, but he didn't really know how to answer that. I thought it was funny. All right, let's see. Chip didn't know what to say, sounded nervous or angry or something. Yeah, Chip is the CEO. Another person says, however, 800 million is intangible assets, so yeah. Oh, yeah, that's something to consider. 2U could go bankrupt if the news is true. Dang it, my girlfriend keeps calling and it blocks out the comments so I can't see them. Let's see. 2U could go bankrupt if the news is true about securities fraud because look at the negative news before buying. I gotta look into that. What a nightmare. Thank God I'm not in that. Yep. You should be happy, Lillian. People, why does this video only have 7 likes? Go smash it. Allah is too modest to tell you to do so. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the people that donated. Like I said, this is the first time ever that I actually received a super chat. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird moment. Really cool. The CEO is getting fired. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Again, sorry for putting my finger in the way, guys. I got it. Maybe I can hold it a little differently so my finger doesn't get in the way. Goodbye now? Question mark. Again, I can't tell you what to do, but for me personally, I just bought a little bit more, but it's still less than 1% of my portfolio, and I'm not really that excited to make it more. This is a high risk speculative stock. Dang, the likes just jumped up all the way to 33. Thanks everyone, appreciate it. Is it a good buy right now? It's same answer as I just gave. Financial investor says Neo and shout out to financial investor, by the way, friend of the channel. Neo and 2U spec plays, not big positions. Yeah, so yeah, I completely agree. Neo and 2U, those are spec plays. They should never be big positions, in my opinion. I'm not telling you guys what to do. If you guys want to invest in them, go ahead. But I'm just saying, in my opinion, those should never be big positions. Neo is also a stock that is only, I think right now it's maybe like 3% of my portfolio or something around there. And yeah, I definitely would not want to go too heavy in Neo either. You never know what's gonna happen. Neo is a Chinese kind of a Tesla clone. Let's see. Dylan says, "Oh yeah, forgot. Oh, this is a good one. Oh yeah, forgot to mention. Ark bought 2 million shares at noon today. Oh, at around $12. Okay, so I didn't know that, but I heard that Ark Invest. Ark Invest is that company that is like really bullish on Tesla. I think it's the same Ark Invest, same company if I'm thinking correctly, but they bought a ton of 2U stock from something I read. I don't know if it's true or not, but if I what I read was correct, they bought a huge amount of 2U stock the day I think it was like the day before earnings, and then the stock crashed 65%. Can you imagine how like oh man, can you just imagine how like bad whoever was in charge of that purchase at Ark Invest like oh man, I feel bad for them. I really hope that they didn't like lose their job or anything. I hope everything's fine, but that's why it's never in my opinion it's never a good idea to buy stocks before earnings. You have no idea what's going to happen. You just don't know what's going to happen. And think about it from the risk reward kind of way of looking at things, yeah, maybe some kind of really great news comes out. Maybe earnings were fantastic, and what? Maybe the stock jumps up 15% or something like that on earnings day, and you make a huge amount of money. But think about the negative of it too. Like, what if something horribly goes horribly wrong, like what happened with TU? And this normally would not happen with big companies. Like my biggest positions are like Microsoft, Disney, Amazon. This would not happen with those companies. At least, like I don't think that would really happen. But you look at some of these more speculative stocks, some really horrible, kind of event happens and they drop by like this stock just dropped by 65%. So you gotta think about it, is it really worth it? Because people always tell me, hey, should I buy before earnings? Like should I try to play this earnings? In my opinion, I think it's really risky to do that. Let's see here. Financial investor, leave Wi-Fi on, turn off cellular. No more pesty girlfriend. That's funny. Let's see here. This only Jean says this only prove what you keep saying. Keep small positions in speculative stocks. Yeah, I completely agree. Um, any remarks on the Fed rate cut? From Lillian, I don't have any feelings about it. I know a lot of people have some really strong opinions on it. I know Jeremy from Financial Education. He just recently said that he doesn't agree with it. Um, I don't know how I feel about it because I don't know, man. I don't know if I even want to go down that rabbit hole because I know people have some really strong opinions on it. But um, in my opinion, they were raising rates a little bit fast, so I'm okay. It was what it was like a quarter of a percent cut, right? It was a really small cut. So I don't know if it matters that much. I don't know. I guess it's just kind of irrelevant to me. I don't really care that much, to be honest. But um, the whole situation, I kind of feel like Trump is getting exactly what he wants because he's getting to do battle with China, and at the same time, he's getting the Fed to cut rates, which are two things that he wanted to do. So he's kind of by doing one, he's kind of forcing the hand of the other. Like by having the whole kind of trade war with China, he's kind of forcing the hand of the Fed to kind of cut. Because the situation could get worse, and who knows how it affects our economy and all things like that. And we've already seen companies saying that they're being affected a bit. So, anyways, I don't know. It's an interesting situation, but I don't normally talk about that stuff too much because, for one, it's very polarizing, it's very political. But number two is also that I'm just a long term investor. I don't know if I really care that much. Like a Fed rate cut, I don't know if it matters that much to me. But I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see. Uh, By the way, Jeremy just made a video about it though, so if you guys want to watch that, he talked about it and he disagrees with the rate cut because I think he just kind of says that our economy is strong enough to support it. But anyway, I just watched The Big Short and this feels weird. Let's see. This other person says I've been looking at this stock. I'll dollar cost average over the next few days or weeks. Let's see here. Another person says can't compare Neo to 2U. Yeah, well, I mean, for one, they're completely different companies, but for two, I would say, well, I have a bigger position in Neo, obviously, because I believe more in Neo. Um, I think that Neo just has a bigger opportunity. So, yeah, so I kind of, if I had to choose, I mean, I would obviously choose Neo, but, um, okay, so let's see. Some funny comments here that I can't really read. Let's see. Hamish Hodder. Oh, I think that's a YouTuber actually. He says, "Don't play earnings. Look to the long-term cash flows of the business." Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Oh man, that's a I can't read some of these comments. I'm glad that I'm reading them before saying them out loud. Let's see. Samia says, "Hi LA, nice to see you live. Thank you, nice to see you too." The investor's mind says, has anyone notices the Russell 2K small cap companies are lagging behind the S&P 500 and Nasdaq? Yeah, I don't really keep track of that. Jack says, nope, I had a put on Beyond before earnings and obviously lost all of it. Let's see. Yes, I don't know what that means, but he says they're really a strong sign that things are not so good. Let's see. Christian says, "What do you think about AbbVie?" AbbVie is a position. Oh, another person says that they love AbbVie. So AbbVie is a pharmaceutical company, and I feel a little weird investing in a pharmaceutical company because I'm very like I'm like more kind of natural kind of guy, and I don't really like big pharmaceutical stuff. But AbbVie just has a really nice dividend, and their stock tanked by so much that it was just too hard for me to stay out of it, and the valuation was so attractive, and like when I made the video about my portfolio, I got so much heat about how undiversified I am. So I felt like I just had to like add it just to like please my audience and have some diversity in my portfolio. I'm joking. It's not. That's not the big reason why, but it just kind of helps to make my portfolio a little more diverse and to have a pharmaceutical play and I kind of just like what AbbVie's doing because a lot of people are very negative on AbbVie, but I kind of like the moves that they're making by acquiring Allergan, and and I think it kind of helps them in the future. So I kind of like AbbVie, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean they're gonna see like huge losses from their Humira drug because there's like competition coming out with like different versions of it. I can't think of the word for it, but um, sorry guys, I'm a little tired because I had a long day. Let's see. Your Adrian says your girlfriend thinks you're cheating. I hope not. What about J&J? So that's Johnson and Johnson. That one looks really attractive too because they recently dropped a bit. But I have to look at it. I haven't kept up with it. I've been so busy lately. I haven't been able to look at some of these stocks, but that could be an interesting one. I got to look into it. Another person says only spec stock anyone should buy is Tesla. I kind of agree. I mean, I don't want to. I don't like telling people what to do, but Tesla. If I had to choose one spec stock, it would be Tesla. Tesla is. I think people just don't have a big enough vision for Tesla. I think they lack vision when they look at Tesla, and I think in the future they're gonna like. I know this is anecdotal, but like where I live, I see Teslas everywhere now. I see Model 3s everywhere. And think about when they launch the Model Y crossover SUV. That's the biggest vehicle type in the U.S. I think we're going to see Model Ys everywhere. And then when they launch the pickup, that's the second biggest vehicle type in the U.S. I think we're going to see those pickups everywhere too. And whenever I talk to all of my friends about purchasing a new vehicle, they all want a Tesla. Like they're all crazy about Tesla. Everybody's talking about it. I know this is anecdotal, but in my circle of friends and family, everybody and in my family, like For example, my brothers, they're all really like they're all really into cars, and they're like, they're always talking about how a Tesla just smokes, all of these like supercars, like smokes like Ferraris and just like smokes all these cars, depending on how you race them. But they're always talking about how Teslas just have such amazing performance, and they make these other cars that are supposed to be, such great cars. They make them look like jokes in comparison, because it's just hard to compete with an electric car. They just take off. Um, but anyway, again, I know that's anecdotal, but I'm really bullish on Tesla. Excuse me. Um, let's see, investing engineered. Oh, that's a person that's visits my channel a lot. So hi to you. Says I blurted out and my roommate asked, "What's up?" I don't know what he's referring to. Oh, Big Game James. That's my boy James. I like that guy. He's really cool. Says, does the old uh, Templeton saying apply? Uh, Trouble is opportunity. Um, so in so in this case, is trouble opportunity with two U? I mean, I'm gonna buy a little bit more, but I don't know if it's opportunity, man. It's just like I can only imagine how people feel with the stock down so much if they were invested. Like Fan says, "Rest in peace, my 3 shares." Well, just be happy that it's only 3 shares. I mean, it could be a lot worse. Let's see, Alex Stewart, biosimilar. Thank you, Alex. That's what I was trying to say with AbbVie. They're biosimilar products to AbbVie's like Humira and things like that. Okay, let's see. Diversification is not needed. Invest in Tesla regularly, and in some years you are rich. Maybe. What about Baba? PSP. That's another person that leaves a lot of comments. What's up, PSP? What about Baba? Baba is one of my biggest stocks, and I really like Alibaba. And since you guys are here in my live chat, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek at another Chinese stock that I recently purchased, and it's Tencent. And I'm gonna make a video about it. But I recently bought Tencent, and yeah, we're gonna talk about it in a future video. But I like both companies a lot. Rock says, Ale, I checked on how much money we have before the earnings. It was 400 million and debt's 68 million. But now I checked, the debt is 310 and the cash is 218. That's a big move, right? Um, that's a huge move. I'd have to take a look at that. Like I said, I'm gonna be making a video on 2U, so don't worry, guys. We're gonna get into detail. We're gonna look at all the facts and all the numbers, and we'll talk about it for sure, guys. So don't worry about it. Oh, you know what, guys? Shoot, I think I have some super chats that I didn't even look at. Sorry, guys. Corey donated $10. Thanks a lot, Corey. That is really nice of you. Says thanks for all the info and time you put into creating content for us. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Corey. Really appreciate that. I don't know if I've ever seen comments from you, so. Um, and a lot of people tell me that a lot of times. They say, "Hey, like I watch all your videos like religiously, but I don't leave comments." So that might, I don't know, that might be a situation. But Corey, that's super nice of you to donate $10. It means a lot to me, and it's always nice to know that I have these fans, even though I don't get comments from you guys all the time. It's really nice to kind of hear from you guys every once in a while. It really motivates me to keep doing YouTube. Let's see. Uh, Tesla haters are just blind. Tesla's already king. What are your thoughts on Ford's electric vehicle plans? What do you think about it long term? Dude, I think it's super interesting. And I'm probably one of the few people who is not very bearish on Ford. I actually think that the stock makes some sense. I think the valuation makes some sense. The dividend makes sense. And it's not a company that I think is going to go anywhere. It's not going to go away anytime soon. The issue though is that like companies like Ford, they're not really growing. So you have to because people will sometimes leave comments and say things like, why would you invest in Ford? Ford is like horrible compared to Tesla, but it's not exactly a fair comparison because they're not the same type of stock. Like one is a growth stock, one is more of like an income stock, one is a more stable stock where you can get reliable dividends from. the the stock price appreciation might be horrible, but you have to know what you're getting into. I mean, you're getting into a stock that pays a really nice dividend, and then possibly they can do something in the future if they can make some moves in electrification. And I think they can. They have some very popular cars. I mean, the Ford F-150, isn't that the most popular truck in America? I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but they're going to make an electric version of that. So you take some very popular cars, you make some electric versions, they could sell very well. Um, Again, I think Tesla is way ahead of everyone, in my opinion. So I own Tesla, I don't own Ford, and I'm more of a growth investor, so I look for growth stocks where Tesla is actually growing. Ford is not really growing much. But you again, it's not really a fair comparison because they're two different types of stocks. So I don't really like it when people say, "Well, that stock is horrible. Get this one." Like Tesla's horrible, you should be in Ford, or Ford is horrible, you should be in Tesla. They're not the same type of stock. So you have to realize what kind of investor are you? What are you looking for? And kind of go that way. Shoot, I got a lot of super chats. I'm sorry, guys. Let me just check these really quick. Rock with $2. Thank you, Rock. I really appreciate it. Says thanks for your time and the information. No problem, Rock. Thank you for the donation. Really means a lot to me. Um, Miss steals your heart. Said $10 donation. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Says thank you so much, Olive, for all the info. You're amazing. I value your advice. Thank you, Roxana. That's super nice of you. Thanks a lot. I really, really appreciate that. It's super nice to get a donation like that. And then Joe reviews and reactions says, look at Capcom cap too low. I think it's talking about market cap too low. Monster sold 10 million. Capcom. I don't know. I gotta look into that. That's a publicly traded company. I didn't know that they were public. I gotta look into Capcom. Um, but thank you for the donation. Really appreciate it. Moth, and by the way, Capcom is like a game developer. If you guys are not familiar with Capcom, yeah, mostly like a video game developer. Okay, so Moth Aldo says thank you, best investment YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, Moth. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but thank you. Really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Dang, another $10 donation. You guys are crazy. Thank you. Hamish Hodder says, here's a bit more motivation. I know how much effort goes into YouTube. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. If you guys haven't seen his channel, make sure you check him out. Super, super nice guy. And I actually, because I am a little familiar with him, actually. I've seen like a couple of his videos, and he's very intelligent. There's different types of YouTubers when it comes to stocks and finance, and for me, there's people that are like a little bit more on the entertainment side, and then there's people that focus more on the details and the statistics and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like he's one of those kind of detailed, really intelligent YouTubers where you can get like a lot of information from. But it's great to have both. It's great to have both, and he's very entertaining as well. Um, let's see, Baidu. So Sam says Baidu. So Baidu is a stock that I have talked about on the channel. A couple videos where I talked about Baidu, and I am a fan of Baidu. I am a fan of them. Um, they are the Chinese Google, right? Baozun is shoot. Now I'm getting Baidu mixed up with Baozun, but anyway, I think both of them are really interesting. But I think Baidu is the bigger one. So I do like Baidu, but yeah, I do like them, but I'm not investing in them. Investing Engineer says, Ale, love your content's been watching for over a year and comments all the time. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Another nice guy. Make sure you check out his channel if you haven't. PSP says EA calls free money. EA calls. Oh, yeah. Well, EA is doing pretty good right now, right? I think the stock shot up. I'm not really sure why. I didn't look into it because I'm not invested in EA. But it's EA is definitely a stock that I always keep an eye on. Um, and what I like about Electronic Arts is that they have a lot of licenses. So, for example, they have like the license to make Star Wars video games, which is huge. They have the license to do all the sports. So they have like FIFA, they have Madden. Um, I guess they used to have NBA Live, but they just got like destroyed by NBA 2K. And I don't even like NBA 2K. I think both games suck in my opinion. But um, I like how they used to be, but I feel like the changes that they've done in the future with sports, I just feel like they've ruined all the sports games. FIFA is the only one that I still enjoy. But anyway, EA is definitely a stock that I've been very interested in because they used to be a high flyer and they used to trade much higher, but they've kind of crashed down to reality after a while. So, but I think they recently had earnings, and I think earnings were pretty good, and the stock started shooting up. JD Ryan says JD. Oh, okay. So sorry. Before I get to that, Dylan says Baozun is a Shopify one and Baidu is Google. Yeah. So now I'm thinking clearly. So Baozun is a Shopify one. They had partnerships with like Microsoft. They did online stores for like Nike. They did online stores for a bunch of big companies, and so they're very interesting. And so I kind of like them, but Baidu is like the Google of China, and I really like that. So if I had to choose one, I think I would go with Baidu. But both are very interesting. And then Ryan says JD, JD.com is like the kind of alternative version to Alibaba, but um, they are another Chinese e-commerce company, and they're really interesting because they have really nice technology, and they focus a lot on like having like drones and they I think they do like delivery with drones and things like that. And JD has a really good logistics system where they can actually get to places in China that other companies can't get to. So a lot of times, if a company wants to deliver their products to a certain kind of rural kind of part of China or a part that's kind of hard to get to, they a lot of times they have to use JD. They have to hire them. They have to use them for their logistics to be able to reach some of those areas. So it's pretty crazy. But JD is really interesting. It's always been a high growth stock. I don't know how they do in terms of profitability because the last time I checked, I don't think they were profitable. I think they were kind of struggling with it a little bit. But Alibaba just seems like a safer play to me. But I like both of them. But I'm invested in Alibaba, and I don't really have plans to invest in JD. Let's see. Sean says, would you ever buy back into Activision Blizzard? Love your videos. Thank you, Sean. Um, so I I like Activision Blizzard, but there's there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the gaming industry or the gaming market right now. So I'm a lot more cautious with what I do. I'm a lot more cautious with what I do in the gaming space because um, there's so many changes. Like the whole industry is just getting kind of disrupted. We're seeing more games come out that have kind of a free to play model, like Fortnite, that just blow up. With EA, we just talked about EA. They have what's that game called? Apex Legends, um, which is similar to Fortnite, where it's free to download, and then it just kind of blew up because a lot of people play it. But then they get you to pay for certain things once you're in the game. And Activision Blizzard, they have some of that. They have kind of some of that model, especially through their mobile gaming, and that's the reason why I like Activision Blizzard is because they have King Digital, and the mobile gaming market is growing huge compared to like traditional console and PC. Like most of the growth in gaming, because we always talk about the growth in gaming, most of it is actually in mobile gaming, and Activision Blizzard has one of the biggest like mobile gaming kind of sub companies out there in King Digital. So that's huge, and so that could be really big for them. But the other thing is that Activision Blizzard, I just don't know if I really like their IPs that much. They have, what do they have? They have Call of Duty. They also have Overwatch, right? So pretty big plays on esports as well, and there's a lot of growth in esports. So yeah, Activision Blizzard is one that I would consider, but it's just I don't know. Like in terms of getting my exposure to the gaming market, I'm happy just having Microsoft, and I'm happy having a little bit of Nintendo as well. But Microsoft is really my biggest play. Sorry guys, I'm getting a little choked up. But Microsoft is my biggest play for the gaming market because uh, I think what they're doing with Xbox is really good, and they're gonna launch the new console next year, and then they also have Project X Cloud, which I think is gonna be huge because you're gonna be able to play video games on your smartphone and just attach a controller to it and just have all the video games kind of streamed to it, and you can also do the same thing to like a computer or a tablet and things like that, and you can even stream it, I believe, to their weaker console too. So what that basically translates to is that because Microsoft has this huge data center infrastructure, that Microsoft Azure, they can use that to stream high quality video games to low power devices. And when you look at something like the Nintendo Switch is such a low power device, which is one of the reasons why I'm still kind of critical on Nintendo. But Microsoft doesn't have any kind of that issue, and other companies might actually hire Microsoft just to be able to do similar things. Like Sony owns the PlayStation, and they actually hired Microsoft to use their Microsoft Azure kind of data center infrastructure because it's just such a good one. But anyway, sorry guys, I'm ranting a little bit. Would you? Let's see here. Please suggest some all-time high stocks. Suggest some all-time high stocks. So stocks that are up a lot, like if I was gonna get some stocks that were up a lot right now, it would probably be the ones I already own because the stocks that I own are up huge already. My biggest ones like Microsoft, Disney, Amazon, they're up huge. And if I was going to go for stocks that were trading at really high prices, it would probably be those because they're just I just think that they have still so much future potential, but they are trading very high, which is one of the reasons why I stopped adding to them because they're too high right now. I actually cashed in some profits with some of them a little bit, not too much though, because it's still a very long term plays. Let's see, Madden 19 was so horrible. Yeah, I agree. I don't like the new Maddens. Al, if you want to come to Portugal, I give you food and place to stay, and a green screen if you need. That's really nice of you. That is Macaco, Macaso. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really nice of you to say. Let's see here. Bet the weather in Portugal is better than Melbourne this time of year. It says yes, it's hot over here. It's hot over here in the states too. At least on the west coast. Let's see. Well, it depends on where you are. Um, okay, I think this other person says, is Alice suggesting to buy 2U? So let me just make this clear for the billion gazillionth time. I do not suggest stocks. I never tell you guys to buy or sell anything. I'm not trying to be defensive. I'm just saying that I don't do that. I share my opinion and then I tell you guys if I'm buying the stock and then whatever decision you guys make is up to you. But I don't like to make recommendations because it's just why would anybody want a recommendation from another person? You got to be doing your own research. You just have to. It's very important. And anybody who just wants someone to tell them what portfolio, like people always ask me, why don't you give more specifics about your portfolio? The reason why is because I don't want people to just copy everything I do. We're all different types of investors. Some of us are traders, and to be honest, guys, I'm not saying this to sound mean to some people, but a lot of my viewers are traders. Like they're short-term traders. I can tell by the way that they respond to certain events. Like they're so concerned about what's happening in the short term, and whenever a stock just pops by 5% or goes down 5%, like they panic. They always panic, and they're like, "Oh, you got to tell me what to do. You got to tell me what to do." And I'm like, that's not the type of investor I am. I'm a very like laid back long term investor, and I just relax and I always think long term. And I don't stay up at night thinking, "Oh man, should I sell out of this stock? Like I'm gonna lose all my money." I don't. It's not the way I play stocks. But and I'm not saying that like a lot of you are very long term investors. A lot of you know what you're doing. I have some of the most intelligent viewers like imaginable. It's crazy how intelligent like most of you are. I'm just saying that when people ask me for suggestions and stuff like that, I don't like it. Yeah, Mikaso says trading is gambling. I mean, I agree. I think short-term trading is gambling. I mean, it's not that there's anything wrong with it. Some people like gambling and some people have some success in it, but it's just not for me. Let's see. Uh, Okay, so and then I'll just last one here. It says BA. So that's for Boeing. I haven't done an update on Boeing in a while. I'll probably talk about it soon because I think they are struggling a bit too. But haven't really looked into Boeing ever since I made my last video. I did make a video on Boeing if you want to watch it, but I haven't watched it in a little while. Someone said Jason says AMD earnings report. We are going to talk about AMD soon too because that's another stock that I haven't given an update on in a little while. And the stock went down a bit today. Maybe like 5% or something. It went down a little bit today, but I gotta check back on it. I can't read that comment. That's a lady asking that, Clarissa. I'm surprised a lady is asking that question. Um, well, I'm not even. What's even the point of answering that question? Let's see. AMD down 10%. Yeah, so AMD is down a bit, so I gotta look into that. Alex is like laughing. I think he's laughing at that comment from Clarissa. I don't know why she's asking that, but um, let's see. Oh, you guys are funny. Um, okay, so I think that's it for now. I think I'll go ahead and end the live chat. But shoot, this was 50 minutes. I thought this was gonna be like a 5 minute little quick live stream just to tell you guys that I was gonna make a video on 2U. That was literally why I went live, just to tell you guys that I'm gonna make a video on 2U. But it ended up turning into a 50 minute. But it was a lot of fun, guys. I really enjoyed talking with all of you. And um, another person says J&J thoughts. I do want to talk about J&J probably in a future video. We will. We'll definitely make a video on J&J. I have to do some research. I'm sorry. I can't give you my opinion on it yet, but I have to do some research. Love from South Carolina, bro. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Means a lot to me. Nice hat. Thank you. The reason I wear okay, so since you guys are on the live stream, I'm giving you guys some insider information here. So a lot of times I record videos with a hat on. It's because I'm just too lazy to like style the hair, and so if you ever see me with the hat, you know that I was too lazy to just like style the hair, and um, so that's why I just throw on a hat. Uh, Dylan says it was good times, Ali. Yep, this was a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone. Ashia says, love your videos. Thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks from NYC. Thank you. A lot of really nice people here. Someone mentions 3M. That is a big company. Uh, been paying a dividend, I think, for like 50 plus years or something. They've been paying a dividend for an incredibly long time. It's definitely an interesting one. I made a video about it, but it's one that I continue to watch. It's just they don't have a lot of growth, so you have to realize what you're getting. You're not getting a growth stock. You're getting like a dividend income stock. But uh, let's see. Okay, so yeah, so I think we'll go ahead and end it there. So anyway, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for the super chats and the donations. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope it was fun. And hey, if you guys enjoy this, let me know. We can do this another time. And if you guys ever like leave comments on any of my videos, let me know. You could just drop a comment, say, hey, like when are you doing another live chat or something? That kind of just lets me. That kind of just reminds me to do a live chat if you guys enjoy it. So anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you later. Have a wonderful day. Take care. I'll catch you guys in a video very soon. We're going to talk about 2U. We're going to go more in depth. And we'll look at a couple other stocks that are also down huge. So it's going to be a very fun video. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Take care.